Something's gonna bring the change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away. Don't you be afraid, everything will change. You and I, jumping off the edge. They say dreamers never die. So come and fly, come and fly, come and fly away with me. We're rising, we're falling, we're making moves. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views.
We're rising, we're falling, we're making moves. We're climbing, we're soaring, 1,000 views.
Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Come and fly away, come and fly away, come and fly away with me. Something's gonna bring the change. Journeys we are meant to take. Something at the edge of space, calling us to fly away.
Alright guys, welcome to this week's episode of Bucs Banter. I'm your host Dan, and with me is my guest today, Simon.
What's up, guys?
And today we're going to be covering the Week 7 matchup between Tampa Bay and the Buffalo Bills. This one was quite a close call in the end.
Very close.
It was, oh god, what was the final score again?
30 to 27.
That's it. I thought it was 30 to 27, but I didn't want to misspeak. So let's start with probably one of the more important issues. What do you think cost you the game, as it were?
Inability to play consistent defense. It was it was better than last week against the Cardinals. It couldn't have been worse, frankly. But too many simple defensive busts that allowed for big plays. For the most part, the Buccaneers were able to contain the Bills' offense, but there were just big plays from silly situations. A lot of missed tackles in this game. You had a coverage bust, well, not really a bust, but a pick play that was very badly handled by the Buccaneers defense that led to a touchdown. Tyrod Taylor had a couple of massive runs in the course of this game. I don't know if you saw the third down conversion at the end of the game that locked it up for the Bills. That kind of summed everything up. You've got them in 3rd and 11. If you make the stop, you get the ball back with 1 minute 20. Plenty of time to go get a field goal. And for some reason, you let Tywan Jones run an outside run where he breaks about 3 tackles and gets a first down.
Yeah, it seems the Bucs still are one of the most inconsistent teams in the league right now. Obviously, there were a fair few turnovers as well, I believe, on the offensive side of the ball.
There was 3. One of them, the strip sack, those things happen. That was really on Donovan Smith. Jerry Hughes just skint him. Basically, the Bills are blitzing up the interior. Donovan Smith tries to get a hand on one of the interior guys to help out before going out to get the end. And Jerry Hughes is a very good speed rusher and just blows past him and hits Winston basically instantly. Any blame on that play you have to attribute to the left tackle, but those ones happen. Jameis threw a horrible pick where they got lucky that the Bills didn't capitalise on it. It was about 30 seconds to go. It was just one of those Jameis, I trust my arm way too much, throws into double coverage. The third one, it was just a good strip by the defence, but the timing of it, was really poor. Because I really felt, especially at that stage in the game, the way the Buccaneers were moving the ball, I felt very confident that the Bucs would probably have got down the field. 2.5 minutes, all 3 of their timeouts. The way they were passing the ball in particular in this game, pretty confident that they would have been able to go get the touchdown. Or even the field goal to win it. Get points, finish the game off. But Adam Humphries of all people, he's been very reliable. Just got stripped. Ended up being the difference.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you really trust the Buccaneers trying to tie the game with a field goal? I mean, given your recent
It
history,
wouldn't have been trying to tie the game. It would have been to win the game.
either way, would you still have trusted them with a field goal? I'd rather take my chances with, trying for a touchdown. The Bucs don't have the best record this
Bear in
year.
mind, the Buccaneers have an actual kicker now. He made both his field goal tries. One of them was from 50 yards.
Oh, bloody hell. Cause for celebration in Tampa. Having the one thing every football team should have basic.
It's, this, offensively, this was better. It's a lot more like what the Buccaneers, I think, what people expected to see from them this year. The run game struggled, but I think that's somewhat to be expected. This Bills team is very good against the run, and they play very aggressively against it. It's a lot of run blitzing, so there weren't a lot of lanes in that regard. But to be fair, Jameis had a bit of a rough patch at one stage in the game, but it wasn't, one of his usual big streaks. It was just like a couple of drives. Other than that, I thought he played a really good game.
Yeah, hold on, I was just checking something. I was going to check some stats on the NFL side. Well, defensively, I mean, up until this year, you guys were quite stout on defense, both against the run and fairly good against
last year we were very good against the run. Started the season horribly in the secondary. And that's the thing. This year, on paper, there's no reason that this team should be bad against the run. Yesterday, for the most part, it was good. It was a few big plays. Tyrod Taylor had two 20-plus yard runs. LaShawn McCoy had one that went for about 25 or 30, and these were all really basic things. In the case of the two Tyrod Taylor ones, there was no one there to spy him, so it was just a four-man rush. One of them, Quan Alexander, misses a tackle, and he's just got nothing but space in front of him. Quan Alexander had a shocker, frankly, and his first game back from injury. He missed a load of tackles in this one, which is disappointing to see. Looks like they might have brought him back too early, but I don't know. Tackling guys, maybe it's just a bit of rust, but he struggled in that phase of the game. And again, just there were two or three plays where the Buccaneers struggled with contain. LaShawn McCoy's a very good runner. If you give him anything, he's probably gonna abuse you a little bit. But and the pass rush for the Buccaneers is just not good enough, not even close to good enough at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills were pretty much trying to give the game away. I mean, McCoy had that fumble in the fourth quarter that you couldn't capitalise on.
I wouldn't say they were trying to give the game away. The Buccaneers were playing better for a period, and Levante David had a really big game for the Bucs. He's the one Buccaneer. Actually, I can give two Buccaneers defenders credit. Vernon Hargreaves actually turned up today, or on Sunday, and had a really good performance. The Bills were actually trying to abuse him early on, like a lot of teams have been this year, and he actually stepped up and played a pretty good game. But Levante was fantastic for the Bucs. I don't know how many tackles he ended up with, but it must have been in double digits. It was a great play on the strip. That was all Levante. So he had a fantastic performance.
Well, looking forward, I mean, the Bucs now sitting at 2-4 in the NFC South, arguably the most competitive division in the NFC at the moment.
It is in that it's up for grabs. Even at 2-4, the Buccaneers aren't out of it. Obviously, they're in a very bad spot at the bottom of the division, but the Bucs are in a real string of bad performances at the moment. Sunday was promising. It was obviously. Anything would have been an improvement over the previous week. But the offense looked really good, particularly in the second half. The first half, they moved the ball well. The Buccaneers had no problems moving the ball in this game. It's just the first half, there were a couple of mistakes, penalties, botch snap, that kind of thing that kept points off the board. But defensively, they're just a bit of a mess at the moment. They just can't get it right. This safety rotation is not working. I don't know if you've seen that TJ Ward and Chris Baker have both been complaining about their playing time. My response to Chris Baker would be play better. You've been disappointing so far. And my response to TJ Ward would be, you kind of have a point. This rotating safety position is not good, I don't think. I think you've got to have good communication at that position. And I don't agree with it in the slightest. But also, don't get beat by like the Bills' third string tight end over the top for a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a bit embarrassing. Although a rotating safety spot, I mean, we talk about miscommunication almost every week with the Bucs defense.
The Buccaneers have been playing. They've been playing Justin Evans there the last few weeks. Now he was a second-round pick, so you've got to expect that he was going to get snaps at some point this season. So he's clearly a starter at this point. It might not be the best option at this point in time, as a rookie, but it makes sense. Second round pick, you got to see what you have there, and he's not embarrassed himself. But Chris Conte, I know he's an experienced guy, but he should not be starting for an NFL team, especially one that was supposed to have playoff aspirations heading into the season. I like him as depth because of that experience, but nothing more. Ward is somewhat limited. Like, I could understand if maybe they were rotating him and Keith Tandy, because Ward is not the best coverage guy. But, playing a sort of mishmash of like four safeties, I don't agree with it in the slightest. But yeah, Chris Baker needs to play better. He can't complain. Clinton McDonald's outperformed him thus far this season for the Bucs. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, we're pretty much going into the halfway point of the season now. Obviously, Bucs have no bye this year. I know they had a bye week 1, but let's be fair, that doesn't count. Considering your expectations from the preseason, how do you think the Bucs have fared? I think they've underperformed for you. But,
they've underperformed, I think, for everyone. I think even yourself, as someone who doesn't like this team, you thought they'd probably be better than they've been. It's been a big step backwards from last season, especially considering how well they played in the second half of the season. The strange thing is that the issues haven't necessarily been where I thought they would be. The offensive line has struggled to run block, but they've pass protected pretty well for the most part, especially in the last few games. The receiving group, I feel up until this week, just hadn't been utilised very well. This week, you saw Evans have been the focal point, getting like 8 or 9 catches, getting near 100 yards, getting a touchdown. He played well. Deshaun Jackson was used primarily to stretch the field, whilst he didn't have big numbers. There were a couple of opportunities that were just about missed, and he made a couple of plays underneath with his speed, but he was accounted for in this game. OJ Howard was finally used heavily. He had a really big performance. Cameron Brate had some big catches. This is what I expected this offense to look like in the passing game. Jameis Winston played really well. One of the problems you've had with Jameis over the first 2 seasons has been forcing the ball, and part of that's been a lack of options. But in this game, the many options that were there were utilised effectively, and as a result, he had a really big performance. He threw for nearly 400 yards in this one against a defence that's playing very well. In the second half, he looked like the Bills just didn't have an answer to the passing game. There were guys open on most plays. Jameis was finding them, delivering the ball on time. It was really promising. The run game has been underwhelming. They need to block better, and defensively, it's just been a mess. Frankly, there's no two ways about it. The pass rush is non-existent. The secondary is a bit iffy, and the linebacker play's been up and down because of all the injuries.
Yeah, I was going to say actually. Considering the firm defensive legacy of Tampa Bay in general since 2000.
Yeah, that's not been applicable since about 2007 when Monty Kiffin left.
Yeah, but even last year though, you played well on the defense. I think you.
The second half of the season, you've got to bear in mind the first 5 or 6 games last year. This was the worst defensive group in the NFL.
True, but I think
they kind of figured things out, and frankly, that's what they need now. I think if they can have that kind of transformation again, this division at the minute looks pretty open, because I think we can say the Falcons have been a disappointment this year. At 3-3, their offense just hasn't looked even close to what it was last year. Like, nowhere near. They're not even playing at an average level offensively over the last few weeks. The Panthers have problems, particularly offensively. The Saints, I'm still not entirely convinced by. They're yet to beat anyone for me. I mean, beating the Packers at the weekend at Lambeau, it's all well and good, but Brent Hundley's first game takes a bit of the sheen off that. They've looked okay, but I'm not going to jump in with the Saints' defense at this point. So it's not like the season's over for the Buccaneers, but I think that's a lot of that is down to how underwhelming the NFC South has been, especially in the last couple of weeks, where the Saints are the only team that's actually won a game.
Yeah, I mean, looking forward to your upcoming schedule. Hold on, let me just bring it up.
Well, the next two games are key, because it's the Panthers next week, followed by the Saints.
Yeah, and these are divisional games that you obviously can't afford to lose. Now, I think the problem is obviously if you drop these next two games, I actually think you may be done for the year at that point.
Well, if they lose to the Panthers next week, they're done, because the Panthers, considering the way they've played the last couple, like they played yesterday against the Bears, and it's not just the way they played. They lost Ryan Khalil and Trey Turner in that one. Kuechly was missing. They played well defensively yesterday, but that was against the Bears. Did you see how many pass attempts Mitch Trubisky had, by the way?
I was like, it's basically nothing, if I remember correctly.
7.
That's a good win.
It's a win. Defensively they played okay, but I mean that offensive line is so as iffy as is. If you take those two out, if they don't play next week, the Buccaneers have to like their chances defensively, because Cam Newton was he's been getting beaten up all season, and yesterday I think you started to see a bit of the toll of that. He looked very skittish in the pocket, made some good throws, but made a lot of iffy ones. And they can't run the ball at all, so I think the Bucs can feel pretty confident about that one, or at least as confident as they can with the way they performed recently. It's the Saints game the week after that. I think that'll be it. They need to get a nice, steadying, comfortable victory, I feel, over the Panthers. And then I'm still not sure what the Saints are, but that will feel like a game where, if they can win these two games, they're kind of back in the thick of things in the very disappointing NFC South.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at the record over the past 3 weeks, I don't understand how a team that only gave up 19 points to the Pats, of all teams, then give up respectively 38 and 30 to the Cardinals and the Bills. I don't understand how a team does that.
The Cardinals game was just a flat-out abomination. I don't know if you saw what Dirk Cutter said, but he said that first half by the Bucs was the worst football he's seen at any level. And I mean, when you look at that, there's that, and like I was discussing, Ryan, you've got that and the Titans against the Texans earlier in the year. Those are like the two standout utter messes that we've seen this year. So that one, that was just one of those games. Whereas yesterday's game was just a few mistakes. The Bills don't beat themselves, and it was a perfect contrast where the Buccaneers looked the more explosive team, particularly in the passing game, and a lot of the time looked the better team in this game, but they also made a lot of errors, particularly on the defensive side, which the Bills just do not miss tackles, and the Bucs, they missed a ton of them in this one, and that was the difference. Tyrod Taylor didn't have many completions, but he had managed to make big plays when it mattered. The Bucs there were several big third down plays in this game that the Bucs just weren't able to make a play defensively.
No, I think the Bucs have the same problem most teams that aren't like the Bills or possibly the Chiefs and the Eagles this year, which is, I don't know what it is, defenses recently just can't tackle. The art of tackling is gone. Long since the days of Ray Lewis, where perfect form
There's some teams who are good at it. It's not been a problem for the Bucs this year up until these last couple of games, but yeah, it was. A lot of it was on. Like, honestly, it was really disappointing to see him come back into the team and offer up such a dud performance.
Do you think he may have been put back in the lineup a week too early then?
I'm not sure it's that, because he was running okay, and I'm not sure a hamstring injury should affect your ability to tackle as much as it should run. It's just, I think it's one of those things. I think it's rust. You miss about a month of football, especially when you didn't play much in pre-season, and you played about 2 drives against the Bears. I think you're just probably not quite used to the speed and the physicality that's required to tackle.
Yeah, although a hamstring injury would affect your lateral mobility, just for reference purposes.
It was just soft. It was just bad. But I think he'll get there. It's just if you're the Bucs, I think you got to look at his performance and just think offensively that's what you've got to do each week. Have the passing game be that balanced, and that, because whilst the Bucs didn't run the ball well in this game, they actually did. They actually were running it. There was a bit of balance there, and they looked a lot better for it. But defensively, they've just got to get things sorted. It's not good enough. They have not got a chance of going on any kind of run if they keep giving up these big plays that are so easily preventable. That's what's so frustrating about it, watching it, especially when you watch it afterwards.
Do you not think maybe the scheme might have something to do with it as well? I mean, you're playing a very predictable, easily manipulated scheme in today's NFL. It's not like you guys change it up.
A lot of teams play that scheme, and some of the teams that are playing the best defense in the league right now play that scheme. You look at the Steelers don't do too much different. The Vikings certainly don't do much different to what the Buccaneers are doing. It's a case of doing it well. Playing a zonal scheme is perfectly fine if you can do it. The lack of pass rush is a killer, because the secondary, there's not much talent or experience there, and when the line isn't getting there, it's making that element of things look worse.
Yeah, I mean, pass rush is definitely one of the biggest issues for you guys, even with Gerald McCoy there.
Gerald's playing fine. He's having a very good season. It's just he's got very little other support. Robert Ayers is playing okay, but he's not a dominant pass rusher. He's a solid defensive end. He's a good all-round player. But Noah Spence isn't consistent enough as sort of the specialist sack guy, and the other defensive tackles aren't offering enough in the pass rush game either. So it's just... And William Golston is a base end. He's just a run defender. He's never going to get much pressure.
No.
And he's not willing to blitz, so...
And blitzing is the way forward. If I could, I'd blitz 8 men every down. But
it's not worked brilliantly for the Cardinals this year.
No, I think the Todd Bowles era is officially dead in Arizona. Anyway, right, start wrapping up. Looking forward to Week 8, the halfway point of the season. Obviously, facing the Panthers. What are you going to be looking for to improve from this week?
Well, having just played against a scrambling quarterback, I think Taylor's probably faster than Cam is.
He is,
Cam's obviously a runner, but I think Taylor's probably got better straight line speed. Just better contain on the defensive side. That's been a big problem. I'd like to see Hargraves carry on with playing like he did at the weekend. He wasn't great at the weekend, but he had a good game, and that's a big improvement. So I'd like to see that. But just better fundamentals defensively. I'm not wanting necessarily to see this team turn into, a great defense overnight, but just the little things that, you should expect an NFL team to do better. Contain, tackling. These aren't complicated things. So I want to see both of those. And offensively, just keep it going. Do what you did against the Bills. They just looked really dynamic in the second half. Using O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate at the same time was really good. You could see in the second half that the Bills did not know who to assign guys to. you had Howard on one side, Brait on the other, and because it was the first game, both guys were being used as receivers. There was a lot of plays where they were keeping one guy into block and sending another guy out on a route, and the Bills didn't know which way to shade the defense. And I was just watching it and thinking, where's this been all season?
Yeah, it seems like a great improvement offensively, but the problem is too little, too late. I think you've dropped so many games.
I think in most seasons that would be the case, but the way the NFL has been this year, like I did go into this game saying if the Bucs lost, I thought it would be season over. But then you look at the Falcons losing again. You had the Panthers lose again. The Saints kind of just about managed to beat Brent Hundley, whatever, at Lambeau. It isn't the most impressive win. And just you look at the rest of the NFC in general. I mean, you've got the Eagles look really impressive. The Vikings do. Is there anyone else? I guess the Rams, but...
Yeah, no, the Rams. I mean, they are rated as the number 2 team in the league right now. But it seems with the NFC South, it seems...
Who else is there? You look at the rest of the AFC, you look at like the teams that are going to be in the wild card spots. You're looking at a bunch of 3-3 and 3-4 teams. It's not a big difference between the Buccaneers and those teams at the moment. And in terms of the level of play, whilst the Bucs have been bad, a lot of these teams haven't been much better.
No, I mean, you've even got the Cardinals.
Let's go through those teams. I mean, we've got the Seahawks. The Seahawks are good defensively, but they could lose to anyone at the moment because of the way that offensive line just doesn't let them do anything. The Cardinals, especially with Palmer down now, I think they're just done. The Redskins are okay, but they got some injuries. The Cowboys are okay. I don't think they're anything close to the team we saw last year. The Lions I don't rate at this point. The Packers without Rodgers. The rest of the NFC, any one of these teams could go and win 5 or 6 games in a row, and they'd be well in the thick of things.
Yeah, it does seem in the NFC South, though, it seems for every step back the Bucs make, at least 2 other teams also make the same step back, keeping you in it.
I mean they have been, and like I say, if they win their next 2 games, they'll be tied with the Panthers, with a tiebreaker. Depending if the Saints drop another game, they'll be tied with them with a tiebreaker, and who knows how the Falcons are going to do right now.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, the Falcons have the Jets next week, and at the minute, the Jets are playing better football than them.
Yeah, it's a weird time in the NFL.
Who would be entering week 8 of this NFL season saying, man, Josh McCown is playing better football than Matt Ryan?
I know, it's bizarre.
It's a very strange year.
Before we close out, any final thoughts on the Bucs?
I mean, weird to see how Jameis played probably his best game of the year with an injured arm. That was unexpected.
You're hoping for him to turn into vintage Ben Roethlisberger.
I've already said he's basically a baby Ben Roethlisberger. I think it doesn't take much watching him to... Like, you didn't see early career Ben Roethlisberger. They're eerily similar as players. But, yeah, I mean, I'm not... The main thing, actually, the main last sort of thing on high, not happy to hear, Buccaneers players coming out, especially guys that are veterans on a young team coming out and complaining about lack of snaps and stuff. Like, keep that stuff in the locker room. And, as I say, play better on the field. You'll get your snaps if you're playing well.
Yeah, I think some players don't understand this, especially ones who happen to wear black and yellow.
Well, we'll discuss that particular player tomorrow, I suppose.
Indeed. Well, if that's everything, and haven't got any questions from chat this week, so we will wrap this up. Normally, this is where I'd say about doing the Titan report, but that's
only gone AWOL.
Yep. we seem to have lost our Titans fan. In such a rage was he after that so-called victory over the Browns.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, like, in some ways, he was probably angrier than me, or is angrier than me right now. Because I was the immediate aftermath to the Bills' loss. I was very annoyed because, you know, when you fumble a game away, basically, it is frustrating. But I think he probably feels worse about the Titans right now than I do the Bucs.
Hey man, I know this is I know this is Bucs banter, but again, Titans fans, the rage I've been seeing from a victory to the Browns, because it wasn't really a victory.
That's sort of really the point. I've never seen a fan base more peed off over a win that takes a team above 500 than that one.
Yeah, but I'm sure if the Bucs put in the same performance against the Browns, you would probably feel the same.
I understand it. I understand. I didn't say I don't understand. I said I've never seen it. I 100% agree with them. That watching that game yesterday was absolutely atrocious from that offense.
Well, if we don't get a Titan report today, well, I'm sure we'll cover it briefly in the podcast tomorrow.
We will indeed.
So that pretty much covers it for week 7 for Bucs Banter. If you could obviously like and subscribe to the channel. Obviously, it helps pass this around. And if you have any comments, please leave them. We do actually read all of the comments we're given. So that's it.
Yeah, it's not many, so it makes it easy.
Yeah, you know, 1 or 2 every 2 videos. Easy reads. So that's it from me, and that's it from my guest.
Yeah, just like to say, you know, gonna have the full review of this game up. I mean, it'll probably be up tomorrow at this point, knowing how bad my upload speeds are. But there'll be this. I'm going to rewatch the Eagles-Redskins game, try and get that one uploading tonight as well. I've only watched the game once, so I want to go through it again. Plus, I enjoyed that game. And then there'll be a few more reviews tomorrow, some previews coming up. So as always, just check out the channel. They'll be up when they're up.
Yep, and obviously the podcast is scheduled for tomorrow as opposed to today when it was meant to be. So we will see everyone tomorrow then.
Splendid.
Alright, see you later, guys.
Have a good one. Go Bucs.